The breakup with Ethan was slow, like a fraying thread. I moved out, changed my number, deleted old accounts. I thought it was over. But about a month after leaving our shared apartment, I started noticing something strange. People I'd never met were saying the exact things he used to say to me. At a coffee shop downtown, a barista I barely knew leaned over and said, "Good morning, sunshine." I froze. That was the nickname he'd used to needle me, just to get a reaction. I brushed it off as a coincidence, but a few days later, an Uber driver looked at me in the rearview mirror and asked, "Have you decided what you're running from yet?" Word for word, the question he'd asked me a year ago, trying to probe my limits. After that, these phrases appeared like clues in a play. A cashier whispered, "You can't just disappear." A maintenance worker in my apartment building dropped lines from our past, same tone, same pauses. Faces changed, but the eyes didn't. They looked at me with that same faint mix of interest and ownership he once showed. I reached out to his sister, begging her to make it stop. She said, "He's in a clinic, 6 weeks now, no phone." She even sent a photo, pale with a hospital wristband, rehab probably. So it wasn't him physically. Someone had turned his voice into something public. That's when I stopped believing in coincidences. I dyed my hair, changed my commute, even quit my job for a week to hide out in another city. But the words followed me. One afternoon, I ducked into a quiet used bookstore to escape the rain. I was flipping through the shelves when an older man beside me muttered, "You'll never really leave me, sunshine." My whole body froze. He didn't even look at me. He just walked away humming. I left the store without buying anything, heart pounding. That night I dreamed of Ethan. He was sitting in our old kitchen, smiling faintly, stirring a cup of coffee. But when he looked up, his eyes weren't his. They were blank, white like glass. I woke up gasping, the sound of a spoon clinking against porcelain still echoing in my head. Then came the phone calls, always from blocked numbers, always silent, sometimes just breathing. Other times a faint voice would whisper my own words back at me, sentences I'd said years ago, arguments I'd forgotten. Once I picked up and heard only 2 words, "Good morning." At a hotel downtown, someone knocked softly on my door at 2 a.m. I peeked through the peephole. A middle-aged woman stood there, expressionless, like a mask. She stood silently, turned, and walked away. The next morning, the front desk said the hallway had been empty all night. I stopped sleeping. On my porch one evening, I found my doormat flipped upside down. On the underside, someone had scratched, "You can change your face, but I'll still recognize you." I ripped it up and sat in my car shaking. The world had become a stage where someone else's words controlled strangers. But it escalated. One evening, walking home, I heard a melody behind me. A man was whistling the tune Ethan used to hum when he was in a good mood. I turned, and there were 3 different people on the sidewalk. All of them were staring. None of them were whistling. I left again, this time farther, driving for hours until the city lights vanished in the rearview mirror. I thought I'd escaped. But even there, in a crowded diner off the highway, the waitress refilled my coffee and smiled too long before whispering, "Sunshine, you can't hide forever." I pressed my palm to my face as if I could hold it in place with my fingers. This wasn't about physical stalking anymore. It was a constant reminder you're never free of the words that shaped you.